All right. We have our recording going now. It is December 16th, and I made a big flop last week. I forgot to record last week's call. And for those of you that were on here, it was a great call. We did our year-end process, and I was so bummed when I got to the end. I thought Zoom was going to automatically record it. I went into my settings on Zoom, and I said auto record all calls. So I thought I was covered. But I got to the end and I'm like, wow, the little red cloud is not blinking. And then I canceled it out. And sure enough, it did not record the call. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Because there was just some great content last week. So anyway, it was lost into the ether. So those of you that were here, congratulations on that. For those that weren't here, lesson learned, you should show up. But anyway, I thought we'd kind of give it a quick wrap up again, just for those that weren't able to make it, so they don't miss out on that, because that's a really important process. And got a couple other things to cover on that. So anyway, and then Dwayne, I got your thing up. I was going to go over that. I don't know if you're in a time crunch. You need to do that first or after, or
after is fine. Yeah.
okay,
thanks.
cool. Lots of stuff to cover with that one, and I think Russ is probably going to pop in here at some point too. I got one from him that he wanted to cover. So anyway, let's get into the year-end process, the thing that we hit last year. We hit last week and I missed it. Oh, there's Roger with the Santa hat. I was actually going to wear one. I couldn't find one today. Cool. So somebody's representing. Awesome. And for those of you that are in the neighborhood, I know I sent out the Christmas message here. If anybody wants to go on the boat, we're going to do a Sunday Christmas lights cruise down through the Naples Harbor, Alamitos Harbor. So any of you guys that want to get in on that, you got the email, respond back, let me know that you want to go, and we will have some fun this Sunday. All right. Any of you that live out of state, I'm sorry, the boat doesn't travel inland. Okay, so let me start. Oh, I just lost my window there. Let me start a screen share here. So here is where you find the year-end process. I made it super simple. I put it under the resources tab, and it just says year-end process. What this is, it's a scorecard. Some of you guys have seen me go through this before. I do it every year. I think we did it twice last year, and apparently we're doing it twice this year because I forgot to record it last week. So it's a great process. Some of the stuff that I do just to keep me on task so I don't get lost, because you should actually do this more often than a year, but I'm kind of lazy on stuff like that. I'm not real big on administrative tasks. So at least once a year, I do force myself to do this. And one of the things that I do is, aside from the sheet that I'm going to show you guys, the sheet is really specific. And the sheet will answer a lot of questions. Like if you have questions at the end of the year, like, why didn't I do better? This is going to make it clear why you didn't do better. It's also going to make very crystal clear what you need to do better in the new year. So that's why I love it. It is such a good process. But there's some other stuff that I do too, just general housekeeping. Like a cluttered mind is like, your mind is like a computer. The more processes that are going on at the same time, the more strain you're putting on the core system and the less it performs. As a business owner, you want to be able to perform. You want to be able to be nimble. You want to be able to make quick decisions. You want to have a clear cut path on success. And the more stuff that gets in your way, the more overwhelmed you become and the less effective you are at making good decisions. It's good decisions that are going to make us the difference. It's going to make all the difference in the world. And one of the worst decisions, I do it all the time. I do it far less now than I ever used to. But one of the worst decisions I ever made is a lot of little decisions that commit me to things I should not be committed to. And think about that. Think about how many things that you say yes to that you're not going to do, yet it starts that process and it's just draining on your system. It's draining your resources. It's like you got all this stuff that you should be doing and you're not doing any of it, and it's gnawing at you. It's like, that's what I'm talking about. And the more of that crap that's going on in your head, the less effective that you are. I know some of you guys follow Craig. You're in Craig's group. He talks about decluttering. That's exactly what it does. When you declutter everything around you, your environment becomes clear. You're not distracted by a bunch of things. So it's the same thing in business. How many courses have you committed to that you're not doing? How many things did you buy? Like, I do this all the time. I still do this because I have the shiny object thing as bad as any of you. It's a disease. It's like, I love to buy shit. And I swear to God, I buy so much. I spend thousands of dollars, probably tens of thousands of dollars every year on stuff I know I'm not going to use, but I can't resist. So, I'm not going to hold that against you, but at the end of the year, that's my time to kind of look back, go, okay, what did I not use? Sweep it under the rug, just clear it off the plate. Go, just confess. Okay, it was a waste of money. It was a good thing. I'm just not going to use it. It's put it out, done, take it out to pasture. and look at what you're going to do next year. Is it going to help you? That's one of the things. I could probably save myself a ton of money if I just ask myself the question, is that, like, when I see a purchase opportunity, I need to start asking myself, is that something that's in my current plan that's going to enhance it right now? And if it's not, I should say no. It's just that simple. And I say in the marketing of the ACT program, I say in there, and it's not a joke. It's like, this is the last program you'll ever need. If one of the things that we keep doing is we'll buy program after program after program, thinking that something's going to do something for us. And it's really not. It's, you have to do the thing to get the result. And we go over this every week for the last, I don't know how many years that I've been teaching ACT. It's the process. It doesn't change. Other people sell the same thing. If you look at Dan Kennedy, you could buy Dan Kennedy's stuff. You'd probably spend about $25,000, and he's not going to tell you anything beyond what you've already learned in the ACT program. Or if you haven't learned it, you can go in and learn it. It's right there in front of you. There's a ton of them. I think Suzanne Evans sells a drive program. It's the same thing. It's like, I didn't invent the process, guys. The process hasn't changed for over 100 years. You can keep buying the same stuff over and over. I think I've simplified it down better than anybody. But it's the same stuff. You can get it anywhere. But the deal is, you got to stop buying it. You got to start doing it. You have to stop buying one after the other, because it's just going to drain your mental resources. When you've got 3 of the same thing that does the same thing and you're not using any of them, you're always thinking about it. It's nagging at you. It's like, how I'm looking at my screen right here. And I don't know if you see all these little tabs up here. These are all programs that I've bought. This one I know I'm not going to need. I should just delete that one right now. this is 3 programs that do the same thing. I have finally settled on this one. So those 2, again, I can just delete them. I can just get them out of there. This one I'm probably never going to use. It's a great program. It's just doesn't fit what I do. This one I got, that's the ad agency reel. It's a social media thing. You guys all know how I feel about social media. If you're going to do social media, it's a great program, but I'm not. So, it's another thing. And I'm just giving you as examples here. You guys probably have the same stuff. And at the end of the year, I just try and clear it out. The other thing is files. I don't know about you guys, but I have one of the biggest fears I have is of a computer crash and losing everything. It's like my whole life is sitting on this computer. And if it disappeared, it's like, holy shit. It's like you'd be starting your entire life over. So I have external drives. And at least once a year, again, this should probably be done monthly or if not quarterly, but I do it at least once a year for me. I'll take all the stuff that is important to me and I'll slide it onto at least 2 external drives. And then one of those drives goes in my safe for the next year. So worst case scenario, I would at least be able to go back to one of those drives and have all my files. I might have to rebuild a computer, but at least I wouldn't lose all my work.
John, but if you have your hard drive hooked up, like I have a 6 terabyte external hard drive, and it's hooked up all the time. So it's constantly downloading, correct?
No. What this is I physically slide them over to that. This is an external drive that's an additional drive. It's not the drive that's running my computer.
No. I'm talking about I have an external hard drive.
Yes.
Separate from my computer, but it's plugged in all the time. So I thought that was constantly downloading as opposed to having to plug in your external hard drive once a year and then downloading it.
No, there are computer programs that will copy your files over there for you. Those are great. I never really looked into that, but I know there's programs that will do that. I also, I subscribe to a service called Carbonite. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but what it does is it copies, as you do work on your computer, it copies all of your files over to an external cloud drive. And the idea is if you ever had a computer crash, it could reinstall your entire system for you. So
CrashPlan does the same thing, and it will save, like I do. It saves to the cloud and it saves to 2 external hard drives. So I have my 3 backups.
Yeah. So it's like the more of those things that are going on for me, the safer I feel and the less I have to worry about it. So anything that you can turn off the worry and that allows you to focus on production, that's kind of the idea behind it.
Hey, John, one other thing that I do, because I live in fire country, is I have another hard drive every couple months. I back everything up onto that and I put it out in my van in case I need to take off.
Yeah.
Because the house can burn down and if all your hard drives are in the house, you just
exactly. So, whatever your circumstance, you want to make sure that you have contingencies for that, for disaster, disaster preparedness, because like if your business runs online and it's on your computer and your computer crashes or, dissolves in midair, that's a disaster. You need to be prepared for what if, and it's the same thing in business. You always prepare. Like one of the smart guys that helped me get my corporate structure set up, he told me the reason that you set up a corporation is you plan the failure of your business. And he said, when you plan the failure of your business, you probably won't ever fail because you already know what's going to make you fail at that point. But he said, if disaster happens, you will be prepared to take that fall. and not wipe out all of your personal assets. So disaster preparedness in all facets of your life and business is an important thing to think about. And when you have a plan, it gives you that sense of security. You're like, oh, okay, well, if that's the worst thing that ever happens, I know how I'm going to deal with it. Okay, we can put that to bed. It's no longer a worry, you know? So anything that you can do to put your mind at ease, whether it's decluttering or feeling secure, knowing how you're going to handle disastrous situations, all that stuff will just make you more confident and more structured and more effective going forward. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit pie in the sky, but hopefully it helps some of you and gives you peace of mind. But anyway, back to the year-end process. And again, it's under the resources, year-end process. I've got it in here as a Word document, and it's also in a zip file. It's the same thing. It's just one file. It's a Word document. Some people have trouble, like if you try and email this to yourself or something, Word documents don't email very well. So it's in a zip file just for that. But when you open it up, it's a really simple document. I didn't spend a lot of time on this. It's more about the content than the prettiness. But I just call it the 2021 scorecard. Last year it was the 2020 scorecard. So I just changed one digit and we are up to date. So what you do, you put down your gross sales revenue. How much did you bring in 2021? And I know we're not all the way to the end yet, but you can give it an honest guess, or at least up to this point, whatever, as long as it's just an idea for you so you can get an idea of how did you do. And then out of that number, what was your profit? You know, because there's some people that have high numbers, but not much profit. So those two numbers are important. It's the overall, how much did you bring in and how much of it did you take home? How much of it actually left the business and went into your personal life, your pocket? Okay, so that's where we start. And that automatically, you're going to know what you did the year before. I hope you guys at least keep track of the basic stuff. So you should know, did you go up or did you go down? That's the whole point of this. Did you go up or did you go down? Which way are you going? At least to this point. And now we're going to find out why. And some of these questions may or may not apply to you, but I put a bunch of them in here. It's just like the avatar thing. Not everything applies to everybody, but some of it does, and it makes sense. So of your lists, well, this is basically about lists and lead magnets. And you could have multiple lists. So what we want to do is we want to list the list segment. Like you might have one list, your company might have to do all about health. But one segment of it might be about diet. One segment might be about nutrition. You know, one segment might be about exercise. So these are different lists. So what was the segment and what's the size of that list segment? And then of that list, of that segment, how many lead magnets do you have for that segment? Do you just have one or do you have more than one? How many times did you email this segment? Have you run ads to promote your lead magnets? Have you done SEO for this lead magnet? Do you have affiliate swipe files for this lead magnet? And how many affiliates have you asked to promote this lead magnet? And does this lead magnet have an actual sales funnel to it? Is there an actual process of selling, or is it just, here's the offer, buy or die? Now, do you actually have a process where you take just a cold lead or a cold prospect, turn them into a lead, have a conversation, make a presentation, make an offer, make a sale? That's a funnel. That's a sales sequence. So do you have one of those? And how many times have you promoted it on other people's podcasts? Is it offered on your website? I make this mistake all the time. I've got all kinds of stuff that I promote and I never wind up putting it on my website. I'm like, how stupid is that? It's like, why didn't I just put it on the website? I got a lot of people on the website. It's like I'm hiding it. You're not going to sell stuff you hide. So these are questions that a lot of these questions, when you ask them, it's going to be like sticking a thorn in your side. You're going to go, and that's the whole point of it. I want you to pull the thorns out of your side. I want you to make more money. And if you don't ask these questions and you're just comfortable and you're just happy-go-lucky, you're not acknowledging the problems. This is to bubble the problems to the top of the pot so you can see them. And again, if you didn't make the amount of money that you wanted to in 2021, and you're going through this should be very clear of why that happened. The more lead magnets you have, the more segments that you have, the more money you're going to make. The more, the better you optimize your funnel, your sales sequence, the more money you're going to make. Every one of these things, you don't have to do all of them, but any one of them that you focus on and you improve, you're going to make more money. Next, we talk about your products. How many products did you add this year? What you guys should be doing is you should be relating to your audience. You should be figuring out along the way what they want. Like, here's something that I know happens. It happens all the time. I've seen it throughout my entire life. Things change. People might want something different next year. Whatever you did last year might not make sense for next year. And if you don't change it, you're going to suffer. So you need to pay attention. You need to keep your ear to the road. You need to pay attention and listen to what your people are telling you. Like, what's happening out there? Is there new stuff? Because what's going to happen if you don't address that stuff, they're going to hear it from someone else. And all of a sudden now they've got a new go-to person. And what does that do to you? What does that do to your long-term value? Well, we talk about how much a client is worth, lifetime value. If you lose them along the way, you are destroying your lifetime value. Make sure you understand what's important and what's on the road ahead for everybody in your group. Whoever your audience is, always be in tune with that industry and what's coming. One of the things that I've been shifting gears into over the last couple of years is the whole crypto thing. And I know that's pretty far off the mark from internet marketing, but a lot of the people that I talk to and that I know and that follow me, that's something that's important to them. So it's like, okay, I better figure that out first. I better get a handle on it so I can guide them and I don't lose them. So it's just like the internet. Before I was into the internet, all of my clients, they were all big companies, and I was supplying special effects photography for their ad departments. And all of a sudden, Photoshop came along, and they weren't going to need what I did anymore. It was going to go from photography into commercial art studios that were using Photoshop to do special effects. So all I did was I took my audience and I said, what are they going to need next? They're going to need websites. Nobody knew how to do websites back then. So I figured it out. I figured it out first, and I was the one that offered that to them when they needed it. I saw the road ahead and I just positioned myself there. So that has worked very well for me throughout my entire life, is seeing what's coming next, position yourself for it. It's not always comfortable. When I did that, I didn't know anything about computers. You talk about being in deep water over your head. That was me. So, and same thing with crypto. It's like, I didn't know anything about crypto 2 years ago. I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, I literally thought it was coins. I thought that was physical coins you could hold and put in your pocket. I had no idea. So again, I knew the buzz was coming. People, that were paying me, it was important to them. So it's like, hey, I better figure this shit out. So it's just a lesson to you. That's going to be your products. The thing that people are going to pay you for is to be on the road ahead and help guide them. So how many did you add? How many front end offers did you create? Remember, a front end offer is to get them to buy your first thing. How many back end offers? This is for people that are already paying you. Did you create more stuff for them to buy? This is how you make more money without even having to do marketing. You just take your existing customer base and you pull more money out of it by supplying more services, providing more value. It's not like you're just taking money out of their pocket. You're providing them extra value that they want, they need, and they're going to pay for anyway. It's just a matter, are they going to pay you or are they going to pay somebody else? When they start paying somebody else, you have a high probability of them not paying you anymore. So that's not a good idea in business. That's not how you grow your business. You grow your business by acquiring new customers and keeping them forever. That's how you grow your business. You provide good value, you get referrals, and you grow it even further and faster. So, product name, the price of the product, the units sold, how many big ideas did you develop for this product? You can have the same product and you can sell it to 10 times more people if you've got 10 times more big ideas. Different. And remember, a big idea will grab attention. Not everybody is focused on the same thing. Sometimes you have to grab their attention in a different way. Okay. Have you identified the most common objections? If you don't know what your objections are, you can't create effective sales funnels, because your sales funnel is going to address the objection, eliminate it, and turn it into a driver of why they want it. It's really important you address all the most common objections. This one, I love this one. Have you identified why somebody needs this? Whatever you're offering, why they need it, what it's going to do for them, the biggest benefits, and have you taken those benefits and three-dimensionalized them? Have you created that three-dimensional benefit where you say it in a way that they hear it, see it, and feel it? And we've covered this a whole bunch of times over the year about three-dimensionalizing benefits. Question is, have you done it? Let's see. Do you have an irresistible offer in place? Have you taken the time to
John, can you elaborate on, Johnny, excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you elaborate on the three-dimensionalizing? Because it was really helpful last week. You went through it more fully, and since we're recording this week, it would be great.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
The three-dimensionalized, like I said, it's so you can hear it, see it, and feel it. And when you just say the benefit, this is what everybody does. They simply say it. Like, I'll use the diet pill as an example. All you say is take the pill and lose the weight. That's saying the benefit. And that's so people can hear it. But you want them to see it happening. You want them to see the outcome. So when I pull that one in, I use the word remember as a trigger word. So I'll say something like, remember how good you looked when you saw yourself in the mirror and you were 20 pounds lighter. And they know what that looks like. They can pull that image up in their head in an instant. And as soon as I told them to remember, I gave them a hidden command directly to their subconscious to do it. It doesn't know not to, so it just does it. And then, so now they've heard it. Now they see it. Now they desire it even more. And now I want them to actually feel it as though it's already happened. So I use another trigger word called imagine. Now I'm activating their imagination and I'm going to paint a picture for them. And I always use, when I do this example, I use the avatar of a woman that's going to her 20-year high school reunion, and she's put on a few pounds, doesn't feel good about herself. And that's why she's looking. That's why she wants it. Now I've tapped into that key thing. Why does she want it? She wants to not be embarrassed. She wants to look good. She wants to impress. And so now I'm going to use imagine to let her see that happen already, as though it's already happened. So I'm going to say, imagine how good you're going to feel when you walk into the room and all the heads turn and everybody's whispering how good you look. So that's three-dimensionalizing your benefit. Have you done that for your product? Have you figured out why they want it? Have you figured out what you can use as those trigger words of remember? Because you can tap into any memory and you can create an emotion around that memory. And you use that to your advantage to create demand and desire. Remember, it's seduce the heart, convince the head. So this is after you've convinced the head. Now you're going to go back and you're going to tie it up by seducing the heart again. That's why you three-dimensionalize the benefit. Okay, so irresistible offer is the same thing. Have you sat down and physically created an irresistible offer? And that's where you have all the components that I cover in the ACT program with creating an offer. You know, does it have a guarantee, a risk reversal, so to speak? Does it have a sense of urgency? Is there scarcity? There's all these different pieces that go together to create an irresistible offer. And you don't have to have them all, but the more of them that you have, the more irresistible it becomes. So that's why I list all the pieces, everything that you could possibly use. You know, so that's the question. Have you done that? How many times have you emailed this product or offer out to your list? And again, you know, you're probably feeling these thorns just stick you in the side with every time I ask one of these questions. And that's my point. That's my goal, to stick enough thorns in your side that you want me to start pulling them out. Next year, I don't want you to go, oh, it's quite so many times. And you will, I can almost guarantee that you will have made more money next year if you don't have all these thorns sticking in your side. You don't have to pull them all out to make more money, just a few. The more you pull out, the more you're going to make. I can almost guarantee it. Okay, so webinars. Have you done a webinar for this product? And again, we're focusing on one product. You might have 10. So this exercise could go on for, you know, you could spend all day on this. And it's a good day to spend. It's a good day to really take a good look at what you did over the last 12 months. And hopefully it will be like a crystal ball into what you're going to do next 12 months. So this is a big one for me. Do you have affiliates? Do you have an affiliate system in place? And how many affiliates do you have promoting this product or these products, all of your products? And here's another one. I mentioned this up above. Do you have email swipe files for your affiliates to send out to their lists? This is really important. Don't expect an affiliate to do your work for you. They're not going to do it. An affiliate is really lazy. They take lay down money, and if it's easy, they'll do it. If you say, I have written an email for you, all you have to do is put your name to it and send it to your list. They'll do it. If you say, hey, could you promote my product? I need you to, write an email to your list and, make me look really good and make my product look really good and try and get a bunch of people onto a webinar. They're going to say, yeah, I'll call you back when I'm done. And you're never going to hear from them. That's what's going to happen. So make it easy. Make it like a no-brainer. Say, hey, send this email out. I'll do all the work. I'll put the webinar together. I'll make the sales presentation. I'll make the sales and I'll just send you a bunch of money. They're like, oh, cool. Okay. I'll do that. That's what you want. You want an irresistible offer for them. Do you offer payment plans? If you have a high ticket item, this might be a question for you. Like I said, that not all of these apply to everybody. If you're selling a $20 thing, you don't need a payment plan. But if you're selling, a $10,000 coaching program, you might want a payment plan in place. That will make you more sales. That's actually part of your irresistible offer, but I just threw it in here anyway. Does your product have recurring income attached to it? This is the best way I know to scale a business is through a recurring income, recurring revenue. Do you have back-end products? That's what recurring revenue is. It's back-end products. It's something where you continue to supply value in exchange for money. So that's a good one. Do you have upsells? How many upsells do you have for the product and how many downsells? An upsell is after they purchase it, you offer a better deal or more of it or an additional thing that will enhance it. A downsell is if they don't buy it, you sell them a lower version, sell them a light version, sell them a sliver, sell them a different product that does not quite as good a job, but it'll do something for them. That's a downsell. Okay, now for your offers, how many new promotions? When I say offers, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how many times did you put it out? This is the T in ACT. This is the traffic portion. So how many new promotions did you run? Offers for your funnel, whatever you want to call it. How many incoming partner promotions? This is where an incoming partner is promoting you. And then how many outgoing partner promotions did you do? This is where you promote someone else. This is where you do an affiliate sale. And you'll see every once in a while, I don't do a lot of these, but every once in a while, you'll see me promote something else. That's an outgoing partner promotion. I always make money on those when I do it. I do very few of these. I only do these if it's something I'm using and it's making money for me. And I can usually attach a bonus to it, like showing you how I use it, or showing you what to do with it, or showing you how you're going to make money with it, or whatever. Okay. Content. How many content pieces were released? This is like how much promotional material did you create? Did you create videos showing you how your thing works, what it does for you, examples? Could even be like testimonial videos or anything. How many of those content pieces were released? How many emails were sent? What was your average open rate? The reason I asked that is if you look at your open rate, if you have a poor open rate, it's because your subject line sucked. If you increase the value of your subject line, if you work on that, if you work on the conversion on your subject line, your open rate will go up. That's like more people seeing it. The more people that see it, the more you're going to sell. So open rate's really important. How many traffic channels were used? And rate each traffic source in effectiveness. Like if you spent $100 on Facebook and you spent $100 on YouTube and you spent $100 on Google and you spent $100 on Bing and you spent $100 on Yelp advertising, you've got $500 out. You look at how many sales came in. If you got 10 sales out of $500 and you look and 4 of them came out of Google and none of them came out of Yelp, you probably want to take the $100 you allocated to Yelp and put it over in the Google bucket, or in the Facebook bucket, or wherever your traffic sources were most effective. That's what they talk about. When you scale, you're evaluating results and you're making adjustments, and then you're increasing your efforts. So you make little efforts, you evaluate them, you make adjustments, and then you scale. This is how you grow a business. But you can't do any of that if you're not testing traffic sources. Can't test traffic sources unless you have offers, funnels, lead magnets. All that stuff is in the beginning. T is on the end of ACT for a reason. You have to do everything in sequence. You have to do your analysis. You got to figure out what people want, all about them, and then create your products, create your offers, create your funnels, create your demand and desire. All of that stuff is based on the A. Once the A and the C, then you're ready for the traffic. And if you don't do the traffic, you might as well not have done the first two. So you've got to do all three. Okay, and then we did the SWOT analysis. That's the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And this is a common business practice. A lot of business coaches teach the SWOT analysis. And you just, you list out what are all your strengths. That's what you want to lean back on. What are your weaknesses? That's what you want to steer away from. What are your opportunities? Opportunities are affiliates. That's somebody that has your list. What are threats? That's going to be competitors. That's going to be markets changing. That's going to be people not wanting what you want anymore or what you make anymore. Those are all threats. And you want to see all this stuff. You want it to be very clear when you're in business. And now the next question, now we get to the big stuff. What are you going to change? And this should be in 2022 here. What are you going to change next year? And, I always say, I can assure you of this. If nothing on this list changes, nothing is going to change in your business. That's like a certainty. It's like math. This is a mathematical certainty. If you do the same thing, you're probably going to get the same result. And in this case, you could get a decreased result. If things are changing in your industry and you keep doing the same thing, that will decrease your effectiveness. So anyway, that is my year-end scorecard. I really encourage you guys to do this. And like I said, it's going to feel like I'm sticking thorns in your side. You're going to hear my voice and you're going to feel it every one of these questions that you don't answer correctly. And you know the correct answer. You know what you should be doing. And I got to tell you, when I read them, I could feel the thorns going in my own side. This year, I will fully admit, I did not do a lot of work this year. I played on my boat. I had a hell of a lot of fun. I had a hell of a good time. I did just fine business-wise, but I didn't expand. I didn't grow. I probably slid back a little bit, and that's okay. But I had a hell of a good time doing it. And I know that, so, maybe I got some of that out of my system. 2022, I do plan to focus and get a little more business minded and make a little more money. And, I know how much the fuel for that boat costs now. So it's a motivating factor. So anyway, but this thing, hopefully this is a very valuable tool for you guys. And not only your business, but in your life, your business is what gives you the freedom to enjoy life. So if you don't know how to fuel it, you don't know how to fuel your freedom. You don't know how to achieve that success. That is what this thing's all about. So I apologize for the thorns in your side, but they're a necessary evil. I got to make you feel it. If I want to move you, if you're comfortable and you're sitting on the couch, you're probably not going to move. But if I put an electrical charge into your seat and light that thing up, you might jump. And that is my goal here. That's what I'm hoping to do. So hopefully that was helpful. All right. And hopefully a lot more people will see it. Again, I apologize. I don't know if I did quite as good a job this week as I did last week. I was really into it last week, and I was really bummed that we didn't get that recording. But, the whole premise is the same thing. It's just to stick enough thorns in you to get you to move. So now back to back to our regular programming here. We had Dwayne. Let's see. Yep, you're still on here. I'm going to share the screen. This is a review, a landing page review. Now, this thing has some problems. I don't know how far along you are with it, but I'll just kind of go through and just give you my 2 cents overall. It's got some design issues to start with. It's not very appealing. You've got your logo way down here above the fold, or below the fold rather. This could have, if you don't know design, you might want to hire a designer, a web developer, somebody to, to make this thing flow a little bit better, or even go into Kartra. I know this is a Kartra page. Go into Kartra. They've got a bunch of templates of converting templates of how to lay these pages out. Just use one of their templates and swap out your artwork with it. Swap out your copy. That will save you a lot. Now with the report here, I would not put free report in what looks like the cover of your book because it cheapens it. You want this thing to look like value, and then you're giving it to them for free. So free report should not be part of the label of the book. That should be part of your headline or your big idea. The 5 ways to save thousands in attorney fees, that's okay. That's good. That's pretty much to the point. That's your promise. You're going to save them thousands in attorney fees. So no problem there. The text here, this comes down to, I want to give you guys a little lesson in copywriting here. And formatting also. You never want to put your text in a big chunky block like this. Really hard to look at, really hard to consume and read. You want to break it up. You want to break into little tiny paragraphs. And don't go back to your English teacher for this. She will tell you all the wrong stuff. This is not English class. This is marketing. Marketing is very different than proper English. One of the things, and what you're trying to do here, you're writing this for an English teacher to read. That's the wrong way to write for marketing. You want to write to a 3rd grader. And you want it to say, when you speak these words, you want it to roll off your tongue as though you're talking to somebody in a social environment. Like you just walked into the bar, your buddy's sitting there, and you sit down and you have a conversation with them. You would not talk like this in that situation. So I'll just read this so you can see what I'm talking about. I know how painfully expensive attorneys can be. And this is another rule in copywriting. If you can take a word out and it means the same thing, take it out. You don't need painfully. I know how expensive attorneys can be. It says the same thing, but it's simplified it. That's just one example. Now, the next one. I'm guessing that you've also been shocked and after receiving a high-priced attorney's bill. That is a very odd sentence. I doubt that you would actually talk like that. So what you could probably say is you were probably shocked the last time you received a bill from your attorney. It says the same thing, but it says it in the 3rd grade level. Now, next sentence. For some people I've helped, it's been a terrible feeling. Now, you just tied a terrible feeling to somebody that you helped. Those don't go together. So again, for some people I've helped, it's been a terrible feeling with them wondering whether they'd even be able to continue their case. That's hard for me to even read. I jumbled on it several times. So what you're trying to say here, what are you trying to say here? So so basically this whole thing right there is most people with the price, most people don't even know if they can finish their case or get to the end of their case. That's really what you're trying to say there. Okay, so the next one, for one current grateful client, you would never say that in real life. Someone would look at you like you were from Mars. So
I think I am.
well, I know, but we need to bring you back to planet Earth because that's where your prospects are.
I'm working it. I'm working it.
So for one current grateful client, my advice and assistance have already saved her over 12,900. How about we just say, I've saved over $12,000 from one of my clients. She's so happy now. Okay, and here you can now access for free for a limited time my five-step system to help you manage your attorney and case to keep fees in check with real life. That's a lot of stuff stuffed into one sentence. And it said you're making complex sentences. Like I said, you're writing this for an English teacher to impress them. And it probably would. But if you're writing it for a prospect, it's going to confuse them. Their mind's going to be like, what the hell? Don't make them work. You're making somebody work here to read your copy. Third grade level, that's all you require. It will make you look smarter, believe it or not. When somebody reads this, they're going to make you look smarter, because what happens when somebody makes you look dumb? How does that make you feel?
Don't like them. Yeah.
That's right. So when I read this and I jumble on it, I'm having trouble reading it. You're making me feel dumb. That's not what you want to do to your prospects. You want to make them feel empowered, make them understand, make it simple for them. Don't make them work at it. Your copy here is making them work really hard. So here, you should lead this for a limited time. You can access my 5-step system for free. End of sentence. Then you start a new sentence. This will help you manage your attorney and keep your costs under control. Period. End of sentence. It also includes real life case studies so you can follow along and understand exactly how to use it. Period. Boom. End of sentence. So that's like 3 sentences there that you're trying to stuff into one complicated one that doesn't read well. It's very difficult to read. And again, this is for everybody. This is a lesson in copywriting. I'm not like beating up on Dwayne here. He's obviously a very educated guy, and he's written stuff, I'm sure, for a lot of English teachers. He was trained and programmed to do this.
And judges.
Yeah.
Wayne, I just went through the copywriting last night in ACT. Check that link out. I was going to tell you about it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So it's seriously, you got to think like 3rd grade level. And then the other thing about this, when I said formatting, your sentences here are way too long. You should probably be breaking this about in half. And the reason for that is when the I gets to a certain point, it gets over here and it's got to come all the way back here. It gets confused on which line am I on. So you might want to make this a little bit bigger also. Maybe not bolded. You don't have to bold all of your copy. You want to bold where it's emphasized. So save bold as a tool, not as a baseline. When you're doing copy, never bold the whole thing. You only bold what you want to jump. And then you want to italicize things that are like quotes, things that are different. So you've got the whole thing italicized here. Okay, now this is good. This is an action. This is a call to action. This is really good here. So yes, please show me how to save thousands. That's a good call to action. Click the button. Click below for your free copy of 5 ways to save thousands in attorney fees. You could simplify that just down, you know, click below to download it instantly, or, you know, get access immediately. And then your copyright, and this probably just isn't quite done right. If you guys are going to do a copyright, it has to include the copywriter in there. This is a standard generic. It's meant for you right here to plug in your name or your company name.
Got that.
So, and it doesn't need the S on copyrights. It's either copyright or the little circle C, and then your name, the date, and then all rights reserved. So that's pretty much it, top to bottom. It needs a little formatting, it needs a little copy, and you should be good to go.
Yeah, that's great. This was definitely a first draft. So I'm glad you broke it down. That really helps because, yeah, I've done so much academic and legal writing. Yeah, I really need to go back to 3rd grade. I need to read some kiddies books from the 3rd grade.
It's hard because, you know, as we grew up, we were put in a box that was wrapped so tight, and the box said, impress your teacher. You know, pretend like you're smart, act like you're smart, look like you're smart. You know, do things that are very complex to make you look that way. And it's odd because that works in that box, but that box is unrealistic. School is an unrealistic place. You know, it's like a bubble, and especially today, God, the kids growing up today, it's just brutal. I mean, they're all taught that everybody's right and everybody's a winner. And you know, what happens, they get out in the real world and they find out they've been lied to their whole life. And it's not like that. Not everybody's a winner, and you're going to get your ass handed to you. And I think that's why suicide is so high amongst kids right now. They're shoved into a mean, evil place that they're not prepared for. And they can't handle it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, just that's an unrealistic bubble. So anyway, okay, so that's that one. Anything else? Do you have any questions about this or anything I missed? Or
no, that really helps. Thanks. I'll redo this. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Russ, you're on here. Cool. I don't know why I can't get email through to you. I've tried all of your addresses, but I will just show you what the email said so you can see. It wasn't a real complex thing. I don't even remember what it was I was writing to you about at this point, but I said, this was what I sent you. I said, bring it to next week's call and I'll go through it like I just did with Dwayne. But I put in here, needs to be way punched up, must grab attention and be all about them and the benefits. Because what I saw in yours was, and I think we touched on this last week when I looked at it, but it has to be about them, not about you. And the other thing is, you could take a different direction on this, and you can use the shock and awe about the harmful effects of the sun. And, you know, that beautiful, big, warm sun that we all love so much, you know, but it will hurt you if you're not careful. So there's that approach that you could also take. So I don't know how helpful the email was, but that was all there was to it. It was just it was almost just sending you back to the drawing board.
I wish there was some sort of tool that you could just put some ideas in and the tool would spit out some phrases or different, marketing jargon that would make.
Well, actually, there are tools like that now. There's all those AI tools that I talked about. If you go onto my site, I put it all in an ebook now. So if you go onto the Internet Dominator site, I've got the button up there that's still up there for the Black Friday thing. That ebook is one of the things I was giving away for free as a lead magnet. If you download that, it's got all the different AI tools, and there are tools where you can drop a keyword in and it will give you copy, it'll give you subject lines, it'll give you, all kinds of really cool stuff. Jarvis is one of the tools. And I know that's like, I learned all that stuff. I did a part of a segment on that when I got back from TNC, because Perry Belcher, that was his topic of discussion when he came out on stage. He was talking about AI to create copy and to do SEO and all that stuff. And I still haven't had a chance to really get in and dig into those tools and figure out like which one's which and what all the best ones are. But I know he leaned heavily on Jarvis. Tim Gillette bought it, said it was difficult to work with, but he told me the same thing with Kartra, and now he loves it after I showed him how to use it. So I think based on what Perry had said, Jarvis is probably the kind of the one that does the most. It's the most versatile, but there's other ones too. And I listed them all in that ebook, all the different ones to look at. Some of them have, higher prices, lower prices. There was one that I was going to put out to Craig's group. It was specific to writing a book. It would like take a pre-existing book and it would rewrite it in your words using AI. And you could have a full-blown book in about 30 seconds. Pretty crazy. and completely unique too. Completely unique and copyscape free for you.
So where would I download that thing you're talking about?
If you go on to the Internet Dominator site,
right?
And
not the act site.
Not the act. Go to Internet Dominators, and there's the button. That button says limited time cyber specials. And it's the second row. It's called artificial intelligence. Yeah, I could do that. I will just show you where it's at. Okay, so if you're on the home page at Internet Dominators, I've got the cyber special button here. If you click that, and it's the second row, AI automation, AI marketing automation, the unfair advantage. You can download a copy of that. It's just a PDF. It's got all the different software that I talked about, all the links to it, all that good stuff. One of them I actually bought. There was a Black Friday special on the Surfer SEO product, and I bought a 1-year subscription to it. It looks absolutely phenomenal. I've been going through the tutorials. I really can't wait to start using it on a couple of my clients and get the results, and I'll share that stuff with you guys.
It's included in this AI automation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing that's really cool that I bought on Black Friday, and I talked at the beginning of this about all this shit that I buy and I never use, but I bought several things on Black Friday. And a lot of times when I buy them, I'm not necessarily buying them for me. I'm buying them as bonuses and stuff to give away with the ACT program. Like when they have deals where you can buy a reseller license and you can sell and give the software away. That was the deal with this one. And it was called Talking Faces. So what they have a bunch of these little avatars that you can write a script, and then they will actually come to life and speak your script. So like this girl, if you wanted this girl to be your sales rep, it's a JavaScript. So basically when you write the script and you create this, she'll show up floating on your page, just like she is right here. So you see how she's floating over the page, and then they could click to hear her.
Hi, this is a preview demo video. My name is Jenny, and you can hire me right away.
Transhumanism. Ooh.
Together. Click the button below to get started.
And so they actually talk. It's in sync with their lips and everything. That's some really cool shit. So like, how much better would that be to have Jenny tell you about the lead magnet and say, just click the button below and download it right now. You know, so they've got a bunch of different people, a bunch of different voices. You can put background music to this. So I bought this basically to give it to anybody in the ACT program to use for their websites. So I buy a lot of stuff like that just to have bonuses and add-ons for that. So it's pretty cool deal. They get all kinds of different people, different nationalities. Yeah, you got this guy. Here's David. Let's see what he has to say. He's got the same script, but different voice, different character. And these are just previews. When you figure out which character and voice, you hit create video, you type or paste in your script, and then they lip sync it out. And it looks pretty damn good every time. So pretty neat stuff. You know, we're getting all into the whole AI phase of things, and that's, you know, it's kind of creepy that you can create talking people.
Can I chime in here a minute, John, please?
Sure.
The actors in Hollywood are up in arms over this.
Oh, I bet they are.
Because of the fact is that you can hire, in addition to the actors we see here, we can also change out their faces. The movie Gemini, Will Smith, they CGI'd Will Smith's young face on an actor playing the young. Gemini is the old guy and the young guy, the same people at the time thing. But the bottom line is that they said that in the evolution of AI and the evolution of artificial intelligence and the evolution of CGI is converging to such a point that we can have Marlon Brando can come back from the grave and go to work.
Yeah.
and the actors are going like, no.
Well, I don't know if you guys know who Todd Gross is, but he's probably one of the legends of making videos for people, marketing videos. And he was one of the ones that was promoting this particular product. And they've actually created one of him. So if you wanted him to speak it's got his voice, it's got his character, and you could actually have him. I don't know why the David one isn't working here, but anyway, I've tried a bunch of them and they're all pretty good.
John, are you saying Todd Gross is part of this collection?
Yeah, if you bought, there was an upsell, you could add him to it.
Oh.
And so I bought the upsell, and they're working right now on scripting him to be in here. So he's going to be actually one of the characters.
Oh.
So kind of interesting. But anyway, cool, very cool stuff here. Let's try this guy. I don't know maybe they're doing some. There he is.
Hi, this is a preview demo video. My name is Mark, and you can hire me right away to create perfect talking face together. Click the button below to get started.
That's Mark. So they have all different accents and
so
cool.
The cool part is that if you're marketing an international platform, you don't have to worry about the language. All you do is work out the text.
Yeah, exactly.
And they do the rest of the work for you.
Yeah, because they already have the accents. Like this is Victor.
Hi, this is a preview demo video. My name is Victor, and you can hire me right away to create perfect talking face together. Click the button below to get started.
Pretty interesting stuff, huh? But that's cool stuff. You know, when when your site's got somebody like that, it's almost like you've got a spokesperson. They do caution you against using these guys for testimonials because there are some new rules that have sprung up because of all this stuff for not wanting to lead people astray. Like, you know, you could take one of these guys and have him lip sync whatever you wanted him to say and act like it was a real person. So the FTC is not very happy about this. So I would not use this in any way for a testimonial. So just
John, I have a question when you're complete.
Okay.
Do you have a lineup of things that you want to continue on? I want to honor that.
As far as for the call today?
Yeah.
No, it's pretty much at this point, it's just seat of my pants at this point.
Sweet. Oh, this will be a good one then.
Okay.
So it's so potent going back through the ACT program. Like you said, I totally agree. I spent like $10,000 on a year-long program with someone, and I'm going back through it now. I have that sort of background in behind me, but I love what you're presenting. I'm telling so many people about it.
Okay.
So one of the things was storytelling, which I think is really, really powerful, and that basically naked facts can be really boring. So if there's any way that you can take the facts and drop them into some story, so then they discover it basically on their own, it's like a little bit more empowering. And so I have an example of a thing that happened to me, and I'm going, and I wasn't sure. I was wondering if you could like round it out. So basically I was in South San Francisco, and this was like the pivotal point in what made me look into electromagnetic fields, EMFs, and study with an engineer, because I was at a business conference, and maybe 2 hours into the conference, all of a sudden I couldn't understand a word the man was saying, like not a word, not even conjugations, like nothing. And I was sitting there going, oh my God. And I was aware of commercial routers. I was aware there was high tension power lines outside because I'm just aware of my environment in general. But I thought, oh, it's, you know, like poo-poo. It's like, it's probably not that. But I couldn't think. And so I literally went outside, put my feet on the ground for 15 minutes, came back in, and it was the same. So I left in tears. I was devastated because I thought it was actually something like early onset Alzheimer's had come in. And so
he might have just been that boring.
I know. He didn't tell a good story. So I ended up leaving. And then that's when I went, I really need to get to the bottom of this. And I studied with an engineer. But so that's kind of like a story. So how would you, because it's so direct.
Well, if you notice, I do a lot of that just very naturally. Like I tie, like when I'm talking to you about any given thing, it's based on an experience I've had in the past. So I'll bring those forward in little stories, but you never want to go too deep on anything. It's like, how do you take a 30-minute story and knock it into 10 seconds? You know, you want to strip out all the detail, because the only thing that matters is that you make your point. It's not about the story. It's about the engagement. The story just breaks up the monotony of the conversation. It makes you interesting. And then they see it. The ideal part of a story is when you tell a story somewhat as a metaphor, so they get your point, you know, of why something happens. Like I talked about, I wanted to make the point of how important it is to shift. So I told the real quick story of how I wasn't always on the internet. You know, I was a commercial photographer, and things changed. I didn't go into a bunch of detail about it. It was just boom, boom, boom. I went from here to there, boom, end of story.
Great.
And that's what you want to do with your stories. I swear to God, I get in front of people and they start telling stories, and I just want to tear my ears out. It's like, come on, land the plane.
Okay, that's super helpful. So the threshold for people in telling a story, I mean, a minute? I mean, it's pretty short, I would think.
It's just like I tell people how long your videos need to be. They need to
Yeah.
be as long as they need to be and no more.
Mhm.
And it's just like copy. When you look at copy, can you take a word out and it means the same thing? Take it out.
Mhm.
All you're trying to do is get from here to there as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
And people appreciate that. I mean, especially if you're dealing with people that enjoy their freedom. Like, you know, to me, I would rather just like relax on a beach and listen to the waves lap up on the shore than listen to some 20-minute convoluted story that by the time we get to the end, I don't even know why it started to begin with.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And especially when people get older, I notice that I'm starting to do longer stories. It's like, oh my God, Kaya, don't even go there.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
brief.
It's
Really-
easy to do too, because, you know,
Yeah.
we all love to talk about ourselves. The problem is the people on the other end, you have to be considerate of what they want, what they love. You know, they like to learn things. They like to take things in. They like to get something out of it. So if you can tell a 10-second story that they actually get the point and it made your point and now they've learned something, that's awesome. You did them a service.
That's really helpful. Yeah.
You know, versus telling them something they didn't understand and moving on. You didn't do them a service. Sometimes it takes a story to get them to relate to something.
Mm-hmm. And the other piece is they don't want to freak people out, you know, with that, you know, we're under cyber digital attack, you know, that's a whole, I have a book here. I mean, it's like amazing. I was going through this and it was like phenomenal. It's about Wi-Fi shielding. And it really takes it to this whole level of like cyber attack. And I just thought, oh my God, even if it's true, it's like, I would never want to bring that forward to people. So it's that edge of,
well, sometimes you need to. Sometimes like the shock and awe, you know, like with Russ, he's got umbrellas that shield the sun, the harmful rays of the sun. I mean, that's going to prevent cancer, you know, but you need to like tell your story really quickly and not necessarily make it about you, because stories on third-party sources are much more credible. You know, you could come off with saying something like, you know, so-and-so came out with the results of their study that said, you know, 9 out of 10 current diseases is caused by electromagnetic fields. And you could say, you know, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, I had to figure this out. I looked into it, found out they were right. And here's what I came out of it with. You know, it's like a 10-second story that covers a whole bunch, but it takes a third-party verification. It makes it proof. You know, it does a lot in 10 seconds. It's highly engineered. You don't want to start telling stories just for the sake of moving your gums. That's the worst thing you can do. You're not trying to take up as much of someone's time as you can take.
Oh my God, no, I'm a freedom lover. It's like, cut it to 5 seconds.
Yeah. What you're trying to do with copy or text or stories or anything to do with your marketing is you're trying to highly engineer the transfer of knowledge. Sometimes it takes stories to effectively transfer knowledge. So you use the story engineered in a way to do that as quickly as possible. So.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that was helpful.
I think I'm going to do the eye patch. I thought I could. I was looking at David quickly, you know, and I went, oh, I could do a sleep mask with my eyes cut out. And every time I do an interview, I have that on. I remember I was kind of going wild.
You look like a bandit.
You know what would be cool is if you actually took a picture of your eyes and printed them over your sleep mask so it looked like your eyes were open while you're sleeping.
I know. I went looking for professional people. I have Jennifer Aniston. She moved her cell phone. I'm like referencing all these, you know, movie stars and stuff that have done stuff.
Yeah,
with,
but the thing is, why they did it, because they found out that it was causing all these diseases,
yeah.
and that it was true because so and so said it was, because they did the research. So
Mhm.
that's how, you know, that again, that's just seconds, and it was a story.
Cool.
So that's just highly engineered stories work really well. But I think most of the people that I have seen in the industry teaching you how to tell your story is not teaching you how to tell your story effectively.
Yes, I
It's-
know, because we did a whole piece with that with my teacher, and I was like, it was so long-winded, and it was so,
Yeah,
it wasn't tangible, like you just said. You're very concise with it.
yeah, you need to really engineer this stuff out. It's not for the sake of telling a story. It's for the sake of transfer of knowledge.
Mhm.
You're transferring. Like if your prospect is unknowledgeable about what you're trying to sell them, they're not going to buy it. You have to transfer that knowledge. You have to, and that's part of grab their attention. You know, if you can grab their attention with a quick story, great, grab it. Now your chance of creating demand and desire exists. It didn't exist before you grabbed their attention. So you just created an opportunity for yourself by being able to grab their attention.
Mhm.
That's what the big idea does. It creates opportunity out of thin air. That opportunity did not exist. You created it. That's why it's so effective. And again, it's highly engineered. This stuff doesn't just happen. Success doesn't just fall off trees. It's made very methodically. You know, some people fall into it. I'll give you that. There's some people that have been highly successful that just fell into it. It happens, but it's not predictable, and it's not, you know, you can't replicate it. So
I love that image with the sleeping mask and with your eyes open, and the slogan, eyes wide shut.
yeah. The
About
reason,
what's going on.
yeah, I watch a lot of movies. The thing that made me think of that is the Jack Sparrow movie, the Pirates of the Caribbean, when they had him on the rotisserie and he was like the king of something, and he had his eyes painted, and he's sitting there and his eyes are closed, but they look like he's looking at you, but they've been painted, and it was like what the hell did they do to his eyes? And then he opens his eyelids and there's his real eyes, and they're like, whoa.
Johnny Depp. Oh God.
So, but pretty cool stuff. All right. So again, I don't know, some of you got on here late. If you're in the area, in the neighborhood, and you want to go out on the boat Sunday and look at the Christmas lights, we are doing that. It's almost like open house from about 3 o'clock. You want to make sure you're on the boat before 5. That doesn't mean coming down the dock. That boat is leaving the slip at 5 to go down and look at the lights in the next harbor down. But we'll be on board by 3, so you can come hang out for a couple hours and go, or you can show up by 5, but don't be standing on the dock waving.
You'll send us instructions on where to find you.
Yeah. Everybody that has RSVP'd, I'll be sending that stuff out. I know I've got yours. You sent an email, so I got that. I got Allie's. Let's see, who else have I got? I've got Gregory's, and I think that's it. Oh, got Jeff. So I've got those 4. I will be responding back, give you all the details and all that good stuff. And I apologize for any of you that are out of state. That's just not real convenient.
Oh, we'll put the boat in the trailer and go out to their place.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good trick with my boat.
Yeah. John, about this potluck Sunday. So pretty much anything to contribute. That's the idea.
Yeah, anything, and it's not required. It's just a lot of people ask what they can bring, and I just said it's fairly just an open, unorganized gathering. So you're welcome to bring whatever, but like I said, it's not required.
How many people we got so far?
I think we'll probably have about 20, 25, something like that.
Wow.
Could be more, you
All right,
never know.
So I bring just enough to share for maybe 6 or 8 people. I'll be covering.
Yep. Yep. That
Aw.
should be cool.
Now I really
I,
feel left out.
You're supposed to
Lie
have,
down.
you're supposed to
Party
have
for you,
a,
Ian, don't worry.
you're supposed to have a life vest for everyone on board. And I have about 30 of them on the boat. And I went and bought 24 more last night. So
Wow. How big is your boat?
it's 55 foot.
Oh, same as my friends. Oh my God, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's a pretty good size boat. We had a birthday party in the summer and we had 35 people, I think. And we did a group photo of them all out on the bow, and they only took up the first few feet of the bow.
Wayne, we have to go.
So it's a pretty good sized boat, that's for sure.
Wow, that's a lot. That's big.
Yeah,
Well, I have an announcement if I may.
sure.
So Rich and I are moving to Casper, Wyoming, the end of January.
Wow,
And what?
I said, wow.
Oh, yes, yes. If anybody wants or needs anything, we're pretty much selling everything in the house.
Wow, that's awesome, Allie. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so this might be our big opportunity to be with you all on John's boat, and maybe we'll fly in the summer to hang out with all y'all again on the boat and whatever. But
That's
anyway,
cool. You know what they
yeah.
have great in Wyoming is fireworks.
Oh yeah,
They have lots of good fireworks in Wyoming.
Yes, yes. So anyway, that's my big news, and
Well, cool.
yeah.
You know, the other thing I was going to tell you, Allie, I don't quite have my head wrapped around it yet, but one of my longtime clients, I've had her as a client for probably close to 30 years. She does art. She's in all these art festivals and stuff. And I do her website for her, and I talk to her every few years, really. That's about how much we communicate. She just sent me an email and asked me if I could help her turn her art into NFTs.
Yes, that's the crypto art stuff, right?
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I have wind of that, and that's on my list, but that's actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. A friend of mine she sent this to me a month ago, and it's just been such a crazy time here. I haven't had the opportunity to investigate the NFTs for the art. I know.
yeah. It's like the most bizarre thing think I've ever seen, but it's a real thing and it's on the horizon. So we better figure it out.
That's actually why I wanted to talk to you, John, because I've said in the group before, and to you, John, that I'm in that transition mode. And today, what the big point for me was when you said, I really got that you're looking at the future, and I was like, that's what I have to do. I have to look at the future and figure out what in my world is where things are going, and then be the person like John, I want to be Johnny Limbo.
Yeah, I mean, what you could do, you could help other artists go in and transition into the NFT world.
That's what I want to be, I think.
You could potentially make probably more money at that than you ever would selling art.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
I'd like to make my art for fun and for, whatever contribution.
Yeah.
Maybe make murals to beautify areas. But so this is exactly what I was wanting to talk to you about, and I'm so glad you brought it up, because our apartment flooded. Rich's birthday is December 7th, and it flooded last week, and it's been like on his birthday. It's been a nightmare here. So in all of that, it's grace that you just mentioned that, because that's exactly what I want to talk to you about. I mean, like,
Cool.
that
Well,
was
I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it.
right, because it was like a thunderbolt for me. I was like, I need to talk to John about this so that I could be the one people think of for art and crypto and
Yeah. And how many of you guys jumped in on that Dan Hollings deal with the crypto? Anybody? I actually got in on it with somebody else on a beta version, and I hadn't looked at it. Well, I wound up looking at it last week, and I actually set up that it's basically it's robotic trading of crypto. So you make money whether the crypto goes up or down or sideways or whatever. The more volatile it is, the more you make.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things when I first saw it, I'm like, this is hocus pocus. This, it's almost too good to be real. So it probably is not real. And anyway, I got in, I actually went through his training. He's supposedly starting his training today for all the people that bought in, but I went through his first version of it, and he teaches stuff in a way that is not considerate necessarily of your time. I was going through it at double speed, and it was still about 6 hours of training that I could have probably boiled down into about 15 minutes of actual here's what you do. And the here's what you do that he did was really spot on, because I broke down that 6 hours into that 15 minutes, and I followed exactly. I just did what he said. I set up 5 of these robots, and he tells you to set them up in test mode and all hocus pocus and mess with it for a week. I'm like, bullshit with that. I'm going right in. I don't have time to mess around playing with video games. I'm going to do the real thing. If I lose some money, so what? So anyway, long story short, I set these bots up. I set 5 of them up in about 15 minutes. That was 5 days ago, and I'm up over $500 already. So the damn thing works. Long story short, it works. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Anybody that bought into it, go through the training, do it on double speed, get what you need out of it, but don't fiddle around. It works. Just do it. Even the ones that I set up against what he said, just based on me testing stuff, even the ones I did that way, they still work. They didn't work as good, but they're still making money. Not as much as the ones that I followed the instructions, but anyway, and Gregory, I think Gregory's going through it, and he is like the master of this kind of stuff. And I'm curious to see what he comes up with.
Well, I had a butterfly trade exit today, and it got out of 513% return. Awesome. I put in $22 and I got back $100 and something dollars, $110 back. Yeah. So I'll be applying that theory to the robot trading when the time comes.
Yeah, very cool. So exciting stuff, and again, this is like, the future. This is where the stuff's moving. And I have made a lot of money over my lifetime being in front of the train when it rolls down the tracks. You just have to know, where to position yourself. And I'm trying to get in on this train. This train is coming. So I want to be run over by the train again.
Jeffrey's asked a question, sir.
Okay, let's see. I haven't been looking at the chat. How much do we need to play to make it workable? It's 3,000 per bot is the recommended minimum. So, and I started, just so you know, I started 3 of them at 3,000, and then I did one at 6, and then I did another one at 30. So I went big on one, and the 30 is not my most profitable one. In fact, you guys want to see it? You want to see what I'm doing?
Please.
Okay, let me share the screen here. Okay, so these are the 5 that I set up. This one, this is basically Ethereum and Bitcoin trading against one another. So they're creating more of each other, just feeding back and forth. And this one has made me, with $30,000 in 6 days, it's made me $206. So that's a 0.7% return in 6 days. So if you add that up, times 5 for a month, that's going to be $1,000 in a month. Now here's one. This one is absolutely kicking butt. This is Matic in trading for US dollars. So it's basically when it makes profit, it's putting it into US dollars for me, just like putting it in my bank account. And for I put 6,000 in originally, and it's made me 193 in about 6 days. So instead of putting 30 in, I put 6, and it made me almost the same amount of money. So that's pretty cool. That's 2.93% in 6 days. That's crazy returns. And it's just doing the same thing every day. It's not like it's going up and down like the stock market. The more volatile this thing gets, the more it wiggles, the more it makes. And then here's the 3 that I did at 3,000. I did one with the Mana in US. And this one, he didn't talk anything about doing a crypto back into an Ethereum unless it was Bitcoin. So I did that one. That one's my worst performing one. And again, I was just playing around with it. But overall, with all 5 of them, these have been running for only 3 days. These have been running for about 6 days. I'm up. The bot has made me $503 in profit. I don't really look at this number because that's how much the crypto goes up and down, but the crypto goes up and down like on a daily basis. That I'm looking at that as a long-term play. Like, what's that going to be worth in 5 years? I don't really care today, tomorrow, or next week. But what I care about today, tomorrow, and next week is how much this thing makes me every day, regardless of whether it goes up and down, which is what Dan's point was. This is a predictable way to make money off of crypto while you ride the growth pattern. So anyway, just a short little thing about, jumping in. I could have played around with test mode and looked at this theoretically, or I could have $500 in my account, which is what I chose. So anyway, that's where we're at. So if any of you guys hopped in on that, awesome. If you have any questions, I'm happy to help. It was not that difficult to set it up. It literally, I had 6 of them set up in about 15 minutes. So pretty cool stuff. All right, guys, well, have a great holiday. If I don't talk to you before then, let me see. I think we're going to be doing next week's call will be the day before Christmas Eve. So we'll keep that. If any of you want to get on there, have at me one more time before the end of the year. I guess we got 2 more times before the end of the year, but
next week will be next Wednesday then, or next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
Same regular time then.
Regular time. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Puts us the day before Christmas Eve. So that should be good.
All right. I just want to make sure I'm looking at my calendar correctly. Thank you.
Yeah. The schedule is working for us this year. So
hey.
So anyway, I really do want to make sure that you guys are on track and you have a better year next year. Hopefully some of you had a great year this year, but it's always about doing better.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that you got whatever you need to make that happen. All right, guys, have a great weekend. We will see you next week.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, John, for showing us the crypto stuff. That was cool.
Sure. No problem.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye. Bye-bye.